Hi, I'm Stuart, and you're going to learn something today. Did you know that the dingo is a native dog to Australia that's been around here for thousands of years? G'day, Stu from UAV Futures here, and today, besides doing some poor Joshua Bardwell interpretations and giving you a little bit of Australian history on native animals, what we're going to be checking out is this right here. Now, this is the dingo. So I don't know why it's named after an Australian dog, but this is a 5-inch from Sabotage RC, and the reason I'm excited is because, look, I think it's common knowledge anyway that Sabotage RC is like an offshoot of Armaton. Now, I'm going to put a little poll up here. Have you heard good things about Armaton? Have you heard some stuff about their customer service, the quality of their quads? And I'm sure that, the vast majority is going to agree that Armaton, they stand for our pilots, they do it right, they innovate, they make some amazing stuff, and they really look after their customers. So they have a very, very loyal fan base because they just treat their pilots so well. Now, what makes the dingo so special, and why is it from Sabotage RC? Well, when I was speaking to the Armaton guys, their gear, their frames are more expensive. They are a premium product, but you also do have to pay for them a bit more. And they said they wanted to get more pilots in the air. They want people, even if you don't have, a lot of money to spend, you can still get a great quality product. So that's what this is. It's essentially the Armaton quality in a cheaper frame with some cheaper components for the more budget flyer out there. So we're going to be sticking this on the bench. This is the part 1 of the dingo 5-inch. In part 2, that should pop up here. That's where we're going to take it out, fly it around, and have some fun with Grumpy Trev, Crash to Scale, all that sort of stuff. But this is what we're doing in this video. It's the part 1 bench breakdown, text and the specs, and we find out, is this a good budget frame for you? If you're on a budget, is this a good quad to get? What's it come like? What's the quality like? What's the build quality like? Because that's really, really important. And then find out why, if you're on a budget, this might be a good option to get. So let's do it. Stick it on the bench, have some fun with the dingo in 3, 2, 1, boop! Alrighty, here it is. Here's the dingo. Why am I speaking like that? Here's the dingo on the bench, and what we're going to do, we're going to go through an overview, talk about some of its components, the pros and cons, the design, the quality, all that sort of stuff. But what it is, it's a 5-inch little bind and fly, I'm going to say freestyle rig. It's made for some very, very thick carbon that is really, really good quality. The same quality you're going to find in the Rooster and the other Armaton sort of stuff, but it's made for the budget flyers out there. So if you want something, you don't want to break the bank, but you still want a really, really nice little rig that is also pretty compact as well. You can see this one's in a H format, and it's also designed to spin 5-inch props. I think this is going to be a great little 5-inch freestyle basher. Now, what we should do, let's stick it on the scales, find out how much it's going to weigh. It's coming in at about 307 grams. So pretty respectable weight there. Not too heavy, also definitely not an ultralight or anything like that. And then the other part I want to mention, it is made up of some strange 4 individual arms, but they are also sandwich plated down with also a little cutout in the middle. So when we get to the design, there's going to be some interesting things to talk about on the frame, because it is a pretty special, unique frame that does things a little bit differently that I kind of like, that you also don't get in some of the budget options. So it's nice to see that making its way, the designs from Armaton into Sabotage's RC stuff. Now, starting on the outside of the components, we're going to start at the outside, work our way in. We've got the Sabotage Booty motors, so I'm sure that's after some pirate sort of stuff there. They're 2306, 2300 kV. I would probably like a little bit higher kV, but I know for freestyle, high kV is not everything. So look, I do more track flying than freestyle, but I think 2300 kV, it's going to be more than enough for most pods, especially if you just want to bash a quad or another freestyle quad that's not going to break the bank as well. Now, moving towards the middle, something that you're not going to see too much more of in the future, I guess, on this one. To keep the price down, they've gone with 4 individual arms on the ESCs. Now, they're the Powder Monkey 35 amp BioHeli S ESCs right there. They're moving towards the middle. This is where we've got our F4 flight controller. It's a CL Racing flight controller, and we've got our TBS Unify on the back. So just because you're getting a budget race, it doesn't mean you're not getting some high quality kit. I mean, Unifies, they're a great choice of VTXs, probably the most popular in the world. And then we've got a little Foxy camera at the front as well, and a nice little Pagoda antenna on the back. And I should also mention it is soft mounted as well. So the components in here are actually really, really nice stuff, which is surprising considering this is meant to be a budget racer. I really like that you get not only a nice frame, but also you get some great components in here. So definitely it is aimed at getting people a good value kit to get out and get flying with. Now, this is the exciting part for me. We're going to talk about the design, and this is where I'm going to talk about the actual frame a little bit more as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take take the top off and then we can have a look at it a little bit better. Okie dokie. So what you can see here, part of things that I'm really like about this frame is it's got some thick carbon. The arms are 4mm thick, so that's going to hold up quite well in crashes, which is great because that's what this is about. This is about a freestyle rig that can really take a beating, and it's not super expensive, so you're happy to throw this in some bandos without breaking the bank. That's still going to hold up very, very nice, be a nice, tough, rigid frame that protects your components. So we've got our 4mm arms, but also they have this little bit of, I'll flash a picture on the screen as well, they have this little bit of a brace plate in the middle, but usually you'll see that running across the whole frame. Here it's only on the back and the front, so right where it matters, where those standoffs are. Now speaking of those standoffs, you've got these beautiful anodized camera mount right here, which is also acts as the front standoff, and leave it to Armaton, I guess Sabotage RC, to do some great stuff with their mounts, because I know in the Chameleon and the Rooster they did some amazing stuff, and it's no different at the front here. So for a little budget mount, it's a great option as well. It's not only strong, but it's also going to hold your camera very, very nicely. Now, one of the things I really love about as well as having that extra brace plate, the two separate ones, is that allows you to lower this middle stack down a little bit more, so you get more room in here as well. So if you're a first-time builder and you've just got the frame, you want to get a budget frame in here, it's going to be a very, very easy build to do as well, because it fits very, very nicely. It's made with 4 individual mounting holes, you can see, but also if you want to do 4, I guess the 20x20 board, you do have that option as well. Heaps of spaces to zip tie things down, and I think it's a very well thought out frame. And also, it's going to be a top mounted battery, but you've also got a place to put your GoPro as well. So if you've got a GoPro mount, a lot of frames that come out nowadays, they don't take into consideration, most people like recording HD footage, as some of you say. I know I love sticking my GoPro on all my quads. So that's great that it's very, very simple to do. So look, the design, it's functional. I love what they're doing in the middle. It's, some parts are basic. It's a flat frame, what I like to call it, a flat pack frame with just 4 arms slapped together with some carbon, but it does it well with some nice little touches. Things like the parts at the front, the cutouts in the middle, the way you've got 2 separate brace plates, and it makes it very, very easy for building. Now, I should also mention, individual arms means it's very cheap to replace, and also it's in a H pattern, which means it's actually wider across this axis than it is front to back, and that's going to give you some great authority in the roll axis, and that seems to be the common way to go when it comes to freestyle rigs, because that's what this is. It's not a hardcore racing rig. I think this is the rig you take out, you bash around, you have a good time, do some bandos, get some great footage, and also it's going to hold up quite well in crashes, easy to make, but is not going to break the bank. Now, I guess if we move on to the quality of the thing, I'm going to say, well, the build quality, if you look at this thing, it is meticulously put together. It is right up there with the best of the best, just like you'd get in an Armaton build. So the build quality here is outstanding. Look how shiny these solder joints are. Very, very nice. And this is one difference which separates this to some of the cheaper ones out there. So things like the Tyro comes in a kit, but some of the other things like the old school Wizards and that, they, yes, they have cheaper components. This has better components as well, but the way it's been put together, I think that's where you are really getting a bargain. If you want something that's been with nice components, been put together nicely, this, well, I don't know if there's a better budget option that's been built so well. And then the other part in terms of quality I want to mention as well is Armaton is really renowned for the carbon that they use. They have some sort of special technique with their carbon, or where they source it from. It is tougher than most of the stuff out there, and it's the same quality carbon that they're using in these budget frames. So you sort of get that research and get that as well when you're going to get one of these Sabotage frames. Now, I guess that moves us on to the pros and the cons, and this part's pretty easy for me because really the con is it's not too terribly exciting. I mean, if you look at the thing, it doesn't look amazing. But the pros, we've got price. The price of this thing is great. The components, fantastic. The build quality, outstanding. The quality of the carbon and stuff, amazing. And it's easy to build. So for me, the only downside of this thing is it looks pretty generic. It's not terribly innovative or anything like that. It's just a smart frame that's built well, that gives people good value. And you've got to remember the mission of Sabotage RC. They want to make good gear that's going to last people, they're going to enjoy, but it's also not going to break the bank. So they understand not everybody can have a Rooster, not everybody can have a Chameleon, but something like this, you're still going to get a quality rig that's going to get you flying. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my part 1 review of the Dingo 5-inch from Sabotage RC, and I think the frame is very, very well priced, but what I really like is if you're going to get the bind and fly kit, you get something that works, something that you know has been built from the same people who are building Armaton, so the build quality is up there with the premium stuff, like if you get a Rooster. But I love the idea of if you want to get a budget drone, if you want to get into the hobby, this is much more attractive to some of those premium builds out there, because the stuff in here is very, very nice. I can't wait to rip it around in the part 2 and find out just how well a budget budget racer goes. And I know there's going to be some big comparisons between things like the Taro and some of those other cheaper Chinese ones out there. And I'm going to say the build quality is going to be significantly different. There is real quality in here, and that's something that I want to stress. A lot of those really, really cheap ones that are mass produced, slapped together, they do, to get that cost down, they do use cheaper stuff. Yes, I think some of them fly, some of them do fly quite well. I'm not going to beat around the bush about that. But this one, I think it is going to hold up a bit longer in the crashes. It's a nice, durable frame, and also the components, it's been nicely put together, and I think just due rate of failure is going to be a little bit less when you get something like this. So overall, I'd love to know what you guys think. I definitely think for the price, around the $250 mark, it is priced very, very nicely, especially when you think how well it's put together. It's pretty much like you were building a boutique drone at home, but you've got someone else to do it for you. What do you guys think? Drop your comments down below. Subscribe for more FPV related dingo content, and we'll go watch part 2 now. And as always, happy flying. Also too, remember, hit that poll up. What do you think about Armaton? Have you heard good things? Would you like to support their company? Do you like what Armaton stands for in today's industry? Anyway, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page, because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAV Futures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.